All right, let's get into Friday feedback. You can always email info@davidpakman.com. Sometimes we will feature YouTube comments, Twitter replies, TikTok messages. You never know what will appear, but info@davidpakman.com is always a reliable place to send your feedback. Okay, this one is really, really funny. When word broke that former President Biden has cancer, it was a weekend. And as many of you know, I don't do shows every day. Call me crazy, but I think I deserve a weekend. And when we came in on Monday, and of course, it was our lead story, and we have a schedule for publishing content, Daniel Phillip posted in the chat for our YouTube premiere, finally preparing how to cover it up, huh? Why no immediate video when the news broke? Yeah, you can take notes from your Democrats as to what you should say about Biden having cancer. Take your time. The implication here is I didn't immediately do a show about Joe Biden's prostate cancer over the weekend because I needed to wait to get my Democratic Party talking points. And then I would be able to tell people, what am I supposed to say about Biden's cancer? First of all, I prep the show daily. All right. If something breaks at some time of day, we have a schedule. We do 5 shows a week, Monday to Friday. If we're mid-edit, if we've already recorded, well, then it goes on the next show. And that's normal for daily programs that have a certain schedule that they stick to. But one of the funnier things about this is the idea that the left is better at coordinated messaging. We all have to get our ducks in a row. If anything, I've said the right is way better at the coordinated messaging. In fact, one of the things that often happens on the left, and we've seen it during elections and at different times, is that there's an exclusionary rather than inclusionary instinct, or that everybody is actually on a different page about every issue. Biden should stay in versus Biden should go. You did not have agreement about that during the 2024 campaign. So even the concept that we're all coordinating messaging as evidenced by always being on the same page, we're often not on the same page. One of the things about the left seems to be that everybody just kind of says whatever they believe, which I think is great. It may not always win us elections, but that's the way we do it. So no, I didn't do a show over the weekend to talk about Biden's cancer news. I did it as the top story on the next damn show, which was Monday. All right. The Booch 109 submitted the following on the David Pakman Show subreddit. I'm tired of hearing about Biden's age in 2025. It's time to focus on the current president. I'm not denying Biden's old. I'm not denying Biden was too old to run for president a second time, because in my opinion, he was. But with that said, I'm sick of turning on CNN and hearing Jake Tapper try to sell his book, Original Sin, on the Biden age cover-up. There are bigger things being covered up right now by the Trump administration. We have scandals, unfathomable policy, lack of policy, dismantling of our freedoms and institutions right now. Write a book about that. Get on camera and cover that. Every time I see an ad for this book, it feels like seriously wasted resources and a distraction from issues that matter. This does reveal how warped the media landscape is. CNN has been wall-to-wall coverage of Jake Tapper's book because they want to help him sell his book. Right-wing media has been wall-to-wall coverage of Jake Tapper's book because they just want to criticize Democrats and Joe Biden. And it is absolutely true that Trump is president. He's rolling back rights. He's threatening legal norms, but network anchors are obsessed with whether Biden should have run in 2024. You don't have to love Biden to understand that the fight right now has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's political career is over. Should never have run for re-election. Said that at the beginning. He did. It was a mistake. He eventually got out. It didn't work. The handover to Harris was not effective. She lost. Okay. We have an ongoing constitutional erosion. You can't unlose democracy retroactively because you're still debating Joe Biden's age or whatever the case may be. Now, do I have a problem with Jake Tapper's book? My only real issue with Jake Tapper's book is that as a CNN journalist, some of what's in the book he claims to have learned while the campaign was going on. And even though he writes in the book, it had bearing on our democracy, it wasn't important enough for him to actually reveal this in 2024. And instead he saved it for his book. Now I know everybody does it. I totally understand. Everybody does it. But if he wants to really be taken more seriously, the issue I have is he should have put this out. And I've said this about so many. I said it about Bob Woodward. I said it about others. Saving it in this way no longer feels like this is about warning the country, because the time to warn the country would have been before the election, when he, according to his own reporting, had some of this information. That's the issue I have. All right, another one from Reddit. The Lament of Squidward says, I touched grass today and it made me feel better. I went to a local Memorial Weekend festival, looking around, seeing everybody having a good time, being able to tell on sight most of these people were nothing approaching MAGA. It made me feel a little better. Is our democracy dead? Yes. Will we be living under fascist rule for the foreseeable future? Probably our lifetimes? Sure. Will tens, if not hundreds of millions suffer and starve and get shipped off to concentration camps? Yes. But at least we can make friends with some like-minded individuals in the meantime, right? Maybe the real civil war was the friends we made along the way. So, this is simultaneously dark and hopeful. And there is a contradiction here, right? This is where a lot of people are right now. We are staring down an authoritarian consolidation, climate catastrophe, economic precarity, suspension of habeas corpus potentially. But we're still trying to have a nice weekend with friends. And so I don't think that it's dangerous escapism. It's sanity preservation. I do the same thing here. I've said before, I do the show. When I'm done with the Friday show, I do not pay attention to any politics or news until I start prepping the Monday show. It's not that I want to escape bigger picture. It's that I need to preserve sanity. And so I understand. And by the way, I do still believe that in many blue states, there are, of course, risks to what Trump is doing. And we're going to have to face them and deal with them. But a lot of the things Trump is wrecking are going to be particularly bad for the people in the red states. And that is a tragedy I can't necessarily do anything about. All right. On Instagram, we heard from Admiral Wit the With, who said the following, and this is really wacky stuff. This is packed with nonsense. It's almost performance art. Here's what this person said. Funny demo rat, they don't give a shit on baby in the womb. They say it not a full live human, but take a lot of care of those border crossers having a baby and now become a firstborn USA. Yes, that fight for that demo rat's evil as ever. So David is now serving time in prison after the Doge raid his home over illegal money getting from USAID. I love the misspelling of raid as RADE. So listen, I have not been raided. I am not in prison as of this moment. I have received no illegal money nor legal money from USAID. And Doge, I don't know if they mean Dogecoin or the Department of Government Efficiency, has nothing to do with any of this. The sad part, punctuation aside, which is its own war crime here, the sad part of this is that this person thinks they've figured it out. It's nothing more than a fan fiction about border babies and firstborn American status. It's incoherent, it's xenophobic, it's detached from reality. This is an example of someone who thinks they're engaging in political discourse. And in some right-wing corners of the internet, it counts as political discourse, which is a tragedy in and of itself. Spotify user Alucard says, what happened to advising people to move to blue states instead of leaving the country? I don't think you suffer from delusions, David, but I do think you suffer from a little hypocrisy. So listen, there is no, this is in response to me saying last week that I'm putting a contingency plan in place to leave the country should I need to. And the comment alleges a contradiction. There's no contradiction. I've said before, we need people to stay and fight. If everybody leaves, then we are ceding control to the worst people there are. But also, who am I to tell any individual, don't do what's best for your family? Don't do what keeps your family safest. So I have always said, we need people in the fight. Maybe if you're in a red state, it's getting really bad, consider moving to a blue state. You can stay, but it'll be better, right? But the truth here is, I've always said, when it comes to what's best for your family, at the end of the day, we need people to stay, but I'm not going to look you in the eye and say, don't leave, even if there's a threat to your family. So that's my perspective. I said it in that segment where I said, everybody can't leave or that's it, but we also all need to act to keep our families safe. I've always had that perspective. No change whatsoever. Another Spotify comment here from Tesla Deco, who says the following. Now I know why I've never heard of you before. Just another extremist on the left in an echo chamber, ridiculously unaware that if they were to be given everything they want, they'd regret it for whatever remained of their vastly shortened life. The left quite literally can't see beyond their goalposts, never ask themselves what happens then, all the while pretending that they don't have what they want because someone else has it and won't give them access. Whiny do-nothings. This is Projection 101. It's always the people who accuse the left of whining who spend hours rage posting on public forums about how woke college kids and food stamps are ruining America. And as far as the echo chamber, we cover conservative speech. We cover liberal speech. I do TikTok streams and let any Trump supporter who wants to come confront me and convince me that they are right to come and do it. I don't know that the right really wants debate. I think the right wants submission. And that is not free speech. That's ideological enforcement. As someone on the left, yes, I'm against that. That's true. Let's check out some of these from Substack. Veritates says, it seems that almost everyone except David has learned that the markets and America aren't necessarily the same thing. I suspect David is unaware of the 1962 law passed by Congress that gives the president full tariff authority for national security interests, and the 1974 law passed by Congress that gives the president full tariff authority for unfair foreign trade practices. Tariff authority will go back to the president, and when American companies are on equal footing, the market will respond as never before. David, class is dismissed, and you're welcome. Yes, this is the classic, I'm going to school you on presidential trade law a little bit, with a little condescending twist at the end. Now, here's the reality. No one is denying that the 1962 and 1974 laws that are cited by Veritates do grant presidential tariff authority in some contexts to the president. But the court struck down Trump's 2025 tariffs for overreach. That has now been stayed by an appeals court. We need to see where it lands. But the whole point here is that Trump is accused of superseding the authority, the limits of the 1962 law and the 1974 law. So the ruling wasn't that the president can't use tariffs. The ruling was the president can only do tariffs based on these laws that the person cites when the circumstances match the letter of the law. The law doesn't justify what Trump actually did, according to economists, legal experts, and that lower court. Now, of course, we're waiting to see what the appeals court ultimately rules. But it's not me who misunderstands the law. It's Veritates who thinks that the law says Trump can do whatever he wants with tariffs for any reason, no matter the circumstances. And that's what violates the law. All right, let's now go to TikTok. Nihilist Degan says, every single judge challenging Trump was appointed by Biden. He installed over 100 activist judges before leaving. But okay, fact check, this is not true. The ruling on the tariff case, for instance, came from a panel. There was a Reagan-appointed judge, an Obama-appointed judge, and a Trump-appointed judge. It is not true that it is Biden-appointed judges that are blocking what Trump wants to do. And unless the argument is Biden secretly appointed the judges or something like that, Trump appointed a hell of a lot of judges himself. And I would argue, especially through his Supreme Court picks, Trump reshaped the judiciary way more than any recent president, certainly more than Biden. So if you're mad at the judges, the question that nihilist Degan should be asking is, why are even Trump judges ruling against him? The answer, you might not like to see it, the answer just might be the Constitution and the rule of law. We've got a great bonus show for you today. Sign up, become a member at joinpakman.com. Get the full David Pakman Show experience. I will be back Monday with a new show and a new bonus show, but we've got today's bonus show. I hope to see you then.